Hey everyone, welcome back to Sasquatch Theory. I hope everyone has been enjoying the stories and gathering an understanding of how the Sasquatch live within our world. I want to mention real quick, if you sent me your story and I have not read it, please give me some time. I have been doing phone call interviews and documentaries lately, and they have been taking up much of my time. I have noticed if I don't take the calls when the opportunity is there, I may not have it in the future. I am working on getting a laptop to help improve the pace of my work, as my internet here is very slow. With all that being said, I am going to start narrating these stories and have them up soon. I also want to mention it is possible I misplaced an email or did not see a comment. I deal with many people every day from all over the world, and it can be difficult to keep track of everyone as new emails keep pouring in. Between the comments and emails and creating content and still being able to go in the forest, it is a full-time job. I love and enjoy every minute of it, and it will be much faster as time goes by and I keep improving along the way. So if you feel I've maybe ignored you, please reach out to me and talk to me about it before getting upset. I promise as soon as I get a better computer and internet service, I will be pumping out videos left and right. It is part of living out in the sticks, and I only have a 3 megabyte internet connection. Alright, moving forward, I am now working on putting part 3 of the documentary together. I had such a great time camping out in the Ozarks here in Missouri. I do not care if you are from the Show Me State. If you have not been to the Current River, you have not seen how much forest there truly is in Missouri, not to mention all the other heavily forested areas in Missouri. During my time there, I was able to see and film endless amounts of wildlife. I saw many deer and other little critters living in harmony with people. The heat index was 106 and I was wore out after the trip. It has been a week and I am still getting bit up by bugs somehow despite spraying my shoes with bug spray. It was a ton of work and time I put into this new documentary, but I enjoyed every minute of it. Although I did not experience any activity, I had a great time and was able to get away from everyday life. I was also able to put up more cameras and gather a better understanding of the property and surrounding forest. In this episode, I get in contact with a bow hunter from Florida. I will say flat out right now, this is one of the best interviews I have ever done. I am beginning to notice a trend in activity in certain states. The state of Florida seems to have a large amount of Bigfoot activity. Steve is a very knowledgeable hunter and is very talented when it comes to making bows. He runs his own bow shop and makes his own custom bows. Being a bow hunter myself, I was very impressed by his work. I have always been fascinated by the Skunk Ape stories, and to be able to hear them personally is an honor. Stick around and hear what Steve and his hunting partner experienced while hunting in the state of Florida. Welcome to Sasquatch Theory, and I appreciate you getting in touch with me and getting on the show.
Yeah, man. I've listened to quite a few of these things over the years, and after my encounter, I kind of left it blank for quite a few years. I kept it to myself, and a couple years ago, I was recently visited again with something. So that kind of brought me into, listening and whatnot. Of course, it depends on what you focus on. You start thinking about this stuff, it freaks you out. Most of them aren't violent, but there are some that are. And of course, if you piss these things off, they're going to rip your head off. At least that's my. But so I just kind of go through day to day, and I live in a rural area now, so I don't have to worry about it. But it definitely affected my life. It changed my life completely. Really.
Okay, so where did your encounters take place, and what were you doing?
Okay, well, this goes back to 1995 or 96, one of those years. That was my primary. I had several encounters before that, which I didn't know what they were. And then I had one 2 years ago, which wasn't an encounter, just some evidence. Sorry, I got something in my throat. I'm probably going to be hacking here. So,
Oh,
but
you're fine.
anyway, I was a hunter. I've been a hunter most of my life. I'm a traditional bow builder. I have a small company that I've been doing it for almost, I don't even know, over 25 years. And back then I was younger, and around 95, and we were gun hunting in Three Lakes Wildlife Management Area in Florida. And I'd been hunting out there for many years, many years. Every year, I never missed a year out there for like 12, 15 years straight. And I did a lot of compound bow hunting out there and gun hunting and whatnot. And I had this particular spot that I used to go to. It was in a swamp, and you had to go about 100 to 100 and over 100 yards into the swamp to find this island, and you had to wade almost to your waist in some areas through the cypress swamp. So I used to go there during the springtime, and I would keep this uh, this this path cut with clippers. And I mean, I'm not talking about a road; it's a path, and you got to know where you're going. I had certain indicators. I'm pretty good in the woods about knowing where I am and marking things because I don't like getting lost. So anyway, I did that. So I kept this path in there, and prior to this, to my sighting, I was there in a different spot, but it's the same water creek. It just goes down a mile or so. And I was walking in on this thing one time, and the wind was blowing right in the swamp in a bunch of palmettos. And it's all cypress swamp, not really deep, and mainly a creek going through it at that time, because sometimes this swamp's dried up. And I approached the wood line, gun hunting, I believe, and something took off through that swamp. And you could tell it was bipedal. At least I could. It was boom, 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 crushing big timber that was down on the ground, big sticks cracking. So deer don't do that. They go around it. Now, possibly, I've never seen a bear out there. Yeah, I don't know what it was, but it freaked me out. I had no clue. So I just let that go. Another time I was in my island. Let's go back to my island here. And I was hunting alone out there. And this place was spooky, man. Now, I had some good friends of mine, Jim and Becky Hill. Jim's passed now. And he was a witness with me as well. But we used to hunt out there quite a bit. And basically, I forgot my train of thought.
Oh, you're fine. So you guys were out there hunting at what national forest in Florida?
Three Lakes Wildlife Management Area.
Okay, and is that like central Florida?
Yeah, kind
west
of
side, east side.
More on the south central side. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, to recoup here, I went out there. I used to hunt out there alone. This place was really spooky, and me going through the swamp, I would always wait till the sun started coming up, because I got the EBGBs out there. And I was out there hunting in my tree. I had 2 tree stands out there, and it was in the morning, probably about 10 o'clock, and I heard this huge crack, and boom, the ground shook. So I didn't think much about it. I was like, damn, man, what the heck was that? There's a lot of big old growth oak trees out there with the big long arms coming down. And anyway, I stayed in my stand. I didn't get up because it kind of freaked me out. I couldn't see anything. So I left at just before dark, And I'm walking by this oak tree and I see this limb about 12 feet up in the air above my head. Big, huge limb just broken off and laying down on the ground. Green, wasn't rotten, solid wood. And I'm like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, huh. Because I'm looking for evidence of termites or rot or something, and it was just broke off. So I was like, man. So I got out of there. Didn't think much about it. Freaked me out, but I got out of there. So anyway, come Thanksgiving, Jim and Becky Hill, my wife, a few other people were camping, and Jim and I decided we're going to go hunting out in the swamp while they cook Thanksgiving dinner or lunch, whatever you want to call it. And so Jim and I go out in the morning, and we get out in the stand at dark 30. You know, it was still kind of light. Get out there. I don't know if we saw anything or whatnot, but anyway, we're coming back out. I have my Bronco parked off in the palmettos. There's a little like a fire break in there. I had it in there. In the back of my window, when you keyed it down, it used to screech. It made this huge screech. So I remember, and if you look down this road, there's a big tunnel of oak trees. Really cool place to go and eat your lunch. And so, and a lot of times there's cars down there, people hunting down there, but there was no one down there at the time. And so we unloaded our guns. And of course, now bear in mind, you have to wear orange. It's gun season. You're on a management area. You'd be crazy not to wear orange on a place like this. Sometimes there's lots of hunters out there, and there have been lots of accidents as well. People, shoot moving things that they don't see sometimes, as far as what they hear. So I always did that, wore a vest and whatnot. So we put the guns in the Bronco and taking off my equipment and whatnot. And I walk out to the road like I always do. And I'm looking down the road, and Jim is unloading his stuff and putting it in the back. And I see this dude walking down the road away from me, kind of on an angle into the swamp head that had big, huge palmetto patch in it. And this dude was like really super tall. And now I'm going to tell you, I was quite a ways away. I was about 100 yards, maybe a little more. And the only thing I could see was buckskin brown color from head to toe and real long swinging arms. And I couldn't tell his gait and all that. I just know he was walking real slow and just swinging them arms. And I looked at him and I said, "Hey, Jim, look at this dude down here. He don't even have a vest on." So Jim comes up and goes, "Huh?" He's looking at it. And, it looked to me like he was in some type of he was the same color from head to toe. That's all I can tell you. And all of a sudden, this other one, now this one went into the woods. All of a sudden, this other one comes out like right in front of where he went in, but on the other side of the road. And it was a smaller thing, probably maybe 6 foot, maybe 6.5 foot. And it was big around. You could see the big, huge, fat belly on it, and you could see the breasts. And it stood there. It went to the road, and Jim and I were both looking down the road. And I said, "What the hell's that?" Jim goes, "That's a damn gal." It's funny as hell. And I'm like, "Dude," and then we start talking. "That's a freaking swamp ape." And when it seen us, it freaked. It gave us that look like, "Oh crap!" And it hobbled off across the road, holding its waist, holding its belly, and it ran kind of bow-legged right into where that other thing went. And I mean, kind of skedaddled out of there. And Jim goes, he said something like, "Well, she seen us and ran off. That ain't right." And I'm thinking in my head, what the hell did I just see? Hair was standing up on me because I knew it wasn't a person. The only thing I can think of over the years, this goes through your head. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. You never forget. You can't unsee things like this.
Right.
It just reminded me of a caveman. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
the pictures you see.
Yeah, like a Neanderthal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
They got
So,
like this angry look on their face. Well, at least the older one I saw did.
well, I didn't. I knew it wasn't a person, and it freaked us out, dude. I mean, we were freaked by the time. And Jim goes, "Let's get down there." So we got in the truck. We drive down there, and it's a big, huge palmetto head that is probably 7, 8 foot tall, thicker than snot. And these palmettos have horn. They got spikes on them. You can't walk through them unless you know how to, or you crawl on your hands and knees. When you get inside of these things, there's tunnels all through them. Sometimes they open up. Anyway, we get down there, and I had a sidearm on me, which I had no intentions of shooting this thing. Zero. It didn't even cross my mind. I'm just not that way. So we're in there looking around. Jim goes, because I ain't going in there. I said, he goes, I'll get the EBGBs, man. He goes, the hair standing up on the back of my neck. He goes, I am not going in there. I said, dude, I ain't going in there either. I said, whatever's in there is looking at us because I can feel it. And he goes, yeah, me too. Let's back off. So we backed off. We walked in a little bit, but not much. Just took you through the field a little bit. All of a sudden, this dude comes driving up the road. He pulls up, and we're like wide-eyed. And I didn't say nothing to him, but he goes, what the hell was that in the road? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, I was scoping down the road, and he was way away from us. So he must have had like a 50 millimeter scope on his gun or something. But he said, I was scoping down the road, and I seen these two critters or whatever walk across. And he goes, I seen that second one come across, and then you walked right in front of the I was in the road, but I guess I had moved, and he couldn't really see it very well. And he said it wasn't. He said they had hair on them. And I said, yeah. I said they were swamp apes. He goes, well, I wouldn't doubt it. He just drove off. That's all he did. And a couple more people drove up, a bunch of kids, and we just told them we saw swamp apes. You better get the hell out of here. Man, they haul ass. So anyway, the funny part of this all is me and Jim are like, man, I can't believe them things are real. So anyway, we drive back. Takes 30 minutes, 35 minutes to get back to the camp. We go back there, and we are and it's getting worse. You know, the realization is reality slapping you in the face as you're thinking about it. You go over in this over and over. We get to the check station. You got to turn your card in. Well, I put down there, I seen swamp apes. And the check station guy looks at it, and he goes, you guys started drinking a little early, didn't you? I was like, no, we ain't drinking, dude. So we're serious. And he just looked at us like, okay. So we just turned our card in and went back to camp. And then when we got back to camp, and we told the women about it. And I'll never forget Becky. Oh, you guys are so full of shit. Oh, man. Good. She's laughing and laughing and laughing. And Jim's like, Becky, I'm serious. And Jim when he wanted to be serious, he was serious. And my wife believed me. She just thought I'm kind of crazy anyway, but she believed what I saw. Now, whether or not it is what I saw, what I said I saw, that's another thing. Because really, nobody knows. So, according to Becky, Jim's wife, she's seen her and Jim, because they were out there a lot. They saw one out there behind a bunch of cows one time. It walked up, and it was pushing the cows out of the way. I don't know if that's necessarily true or not. But I remember her calling me and saying, you guys were right. And she said she saw one. So I don't know. I didn't really pay much attention to that credibility, but I know my experience. And I'm not interested in monetarily gaining from this. I mean, I had people call me up. I'm pretty sure it was one of these guys that got one of these Bigfoot shows. I'm not going to mention any names, but the goofy one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And this guy was just starting it, the leader of it. And I kind of he said, well, do you think it could have been somebody in a suit? I said, really, dude? Why would people be wearing whatever the hell it was that they were wearing? This place is got it's at least 50,000 acres of uninhabited land. And it's thicker than you couldn't imagine in these swamps. And there's all kinds of food in there. If you're, an omnivore and a herbivore or whatever, and eat meat and whatever, you can eat all kinds of stuff. So the sustainability to me is just common sense that these guys could survive. And
yeah.
So I had a few other people call me. One guy was a hunter. He wanted to know exactly where it was. I said, look, dude, I said, personally, my opinion is you kill one of these things, you better have an army next to you. Because if another one sees you kill it, they're going to get you. And I think that their anatomy is different than humans. I think their heart is in a different place. I'm not saying it's like in their head or something, but I think it's not like humans. And these things are thick. And bear in mind now, the one I saw was not a huge, massive creature. It was a tall, real tall, but he was skinny. He was slender, which, if you know anything about southern animals, that's kind of how they are because of the heat, I guess. I don't know. But as you move further north, they get bigger. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the terrain, that the mountains, the food. I don't know. Maybe the species, genetics.
Right.
But I, basically just turned this guy down and told him I had no interest in telling you where this place is. And so I reported it, and you can look this up in the BFRO. Sightings in there, although they didn't. Seems to me they took Jim's name out of there, because I had, she asked me if I had a witness. I said, yeah, it's Jim Hill. And Jim said it's cool if I use his name. And it was in there, but it seems that it was edited. I don't know why.
That is strange.
Yeah, to make it not so it wasn't credible or whatever. But I remember it was in there, and then somebody edited it.
Okay.
Anyway, that was kind of weird. So
yeah. Okay. So what color were the individuals that you saw? I don't know if you mentioned it.
Yeah, the first one I saw was brown buckskin color. Looked just like.
Yeah, you mentioned it.
Reddish tone. See the variations, but it looked to me, when I can still see this in my head. It looks like hair because it's so uniform. If somebody was in a ghillie suit, you can see ghillie suits. The gait of this thing didn't really seem human. The way the arms were long and they swung as it was walking, this thing was just chilling. And now bear in mind, this was during a drought, which I didn't mention. Everything was super dry. All the swamps were dried up. There were some water sources if you knew where to go. But generally the swamps, had 2 or 3 feet of water in them, sometimes a foot. But this particular year, it was really dry. And we went down and looked for tracks. I saw some impressions, but nothing substantial. It was all mostly pine straw and oak leaves. So we did go out there. A girl contacted me from BFRO, and we went out there. And I wasn't really thrilled about going out there, but I did. And we walked out to the cypress head through the palmettos, and we could see some breaks out there in weird places, branches twisted and just laying there,
Mm-hmm.
not snapped, twisted, and off the beaten path, because there really wasn't no beaten path there. And we went inside. This palmetto patch kind of opened up inside, and I'm like, this is where they were. And she's like, yeah, I can see where they could get in here. And so we didn't see anything, a little bit of evidence, but nothing definite, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that pretty much was that. But ever since then, I hunted that swamp for the rest of that year, and I never went back to it.
Yeah.
I gave it to him because I started thinking about the signs. Now, this is before I learned about their markings, what they do with trees, what they do with stones, what they do with, you know, they have subtle markings they use for whatever reason, and maybe direction, maybe talking to each other. I don't know. That branch that was broken to me was a warning. That's how I took it when I started thinking about it.
Yeah, could have been.
Yeah. So now Becky, Jim's wife, wouldn't go in that swamp. She said it was an old Indian burial mound. And she said there's bad spirits in there. Now I never paid much attention to that, but I'll tell you what, I did get the EBGBs in there. And I didn't like bow hunting in there. I tried to always carry a sidearm and a gun, but that's a false sense of security. Really. Unless you've got something substantial and you're good at fighting. I'm just a dude, you know, I'm a hunter and I don't want to fight these things. And I started thinking if I see one, you know, I'm just going to kind of like let him know I'm up there and raise my hand up in the air and say, hey, how you doing? And of course, I never did it because I never seen one again. But I know that sounds kind of weird, but I didn't want any hassles with them. And I respect them as a species, or whatever it is. You know, I've got my theories on what they are, but you know, I just kind of I said, okay, I ain't coming out here no more. It's too freaky. So now there were other people that did see stuff out there as well, not in that same swamp, but in that location. So
Yeah.
there's no doubt in my mind that there is definitely something out there, and we don't know what it is. Now, I've seen a bunch of studies, a bunch of stories, supposedly of people that this one guy actually killed one. And I sent that to you. Did you listen to that?
I did not. I didn't get a chance to.
Well, you should.
Okay.
If you still have the link, give it a
Yeah.
look. It's probably the most credible stories I've heard.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you mentioning that. I wasn't sure.
And this
Okay,
guy
that
picture,
makes sense.
the creepy club came and took his phone. And then you know what I mean by creepy club, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they come and took his phone, but apparently he had a couple of pictures of it laying in the back of his truck on a piece of plywood, or laying next to the truck, well, on a piece of plywood, two pieces of plywood, and on his iPad, and they never got those. So
Oh.
he was doing an interview with somebody else. And yeah, man.
Okay.
I mean, I
I'll
thought
check it out.
it might have been you, but I guess it wasn't because I sent it to you. You know, it's definitely being covered up. There's no doubt. For what reason, I don't know.
Right.
But because of what I think you said it is because of timber rights and things like that. You know, I'm not sure. But
Yeah, I think there's many things in play when it comes to that.
yeah. Let me finish answering your question. The second one was jet black. From couldn't see a face, but I definitely could tell it was a female. Now, I think it had a baby around its waist, holding its waist, or it was super pregnant. That's the first thing that I said to Jim after we were talking. I said that thing was holding a baby, or it was pregnant, because when it ran off, it would not let go of that stomach.
Oh, yeah.
It was holding its stomach, but it was too far away for me to tell if something was actually grabbed around it, which I don't know. I guess that'd be a good way to travel.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. Maybe it was pregnant, but it was big, fat.
How did it make you feel knowing that you were in the same area as these things? I mean, that they were just right there in the woods.
Freaked me out, bro.
Yeah.
Freaked me out.
Because they're not supposed to exist, and knowing that they're just right in there, I'm sure that really startled you guys, freak you out.
Right. No, I, like us all, we've seen the Patterson-Gilman film, and to me, that's one of the most authentic pieces of evidence ever produced. Now, I got to tell you, I've seen hundreds of videos, and most of them are stupid. But I'll tell you what, there's a bunch of them that are definitely look like something.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, but trying to convince somebody that is not an outdoors person. Now bear in mind, I got a friend of mine. He's 76 years old. He's been a bow hunter his whole life. He's camped on mountains under a tarp in grizzly territory. Used to do this stuff his whole life. He's never heard or seen anything like this. Thinks I'm crazy. So why I was chosen to see this, I don't know. But
yeah,
I had a lot of respect for their space after that, because I had to come to realization that it's definitely real. Like I said, you can't unsee something like this. The Neanderthal thing started coming to mind, and I said, dude, that's the missing link right there. We got in a war with these things, and we killed them, or got them to at least go and hide anyway, and we took over. So, I mean, I might be wrong about that. There could be some.
Man started advancing.
Yeah.
Or we used the technology, and they, I don't know, they stayed in tune with the earth.
We may have been genetically modified by something else. I just, it's a whole bunch of things people.
Right. It seems like we don't belong here as a species. Like, you look at every other animal or creature, and they thrive, and they can adapt, and they can live off the land with nothing, no fire or anything. But a person, like, you put us out in the cold, we need clothes, or we need spears to hunt. Like, we're not meant to be here, I guess, is what I'm saying. And anything will kill us so easily.
I think I agree with that. And I believe that we were put here for a reason. And personally, I think that we were probably gold diggers for people.
I've heard those theories before, and I mean, the human race was enslaved many, many times throughout history, and especially for gold.
Yep. So, and the way things are today, it's completely out of control. So hopefully they get a handle on all that. But I don't know. I think the survivability of, like you said, us in the woods. I mean, guys have a hard time staying 50, 60 days, sometimes 30 days. You have to have things.
I mean, when it's like negative 20 degrees and it's sleeting for a week straight, we couldn't survive out there with no fire or clothing, but Sasquatches could.
Yeah. Now, what they do to survive, do they hibernate? Do they go in a cave and go to sleep for a month? We don't know. Possibly. But again, like I said to you earlier, I personally believe their anatomy is different than humans. I think their organs are in different places. I read an article of a guy that shot one in the 60s, I think. And this was a pretty famous guy. He drug it around for years. But anyway, there was notations on the where the organs were, and supposedly the heart is more up toward the shoulder. It's not in the center of the chest. Now, of course, you figure their chest is huge, right? It's like wide. So it could be relatively the same, but just because of how big they are. So my point is that, you've probably heard of people unloading their weapons on these things, and then it doesn't do anything to them. They don't drop. Dead center in the chest. And then I've heard some stories where guys have dropped them with 2.23s, one shot. And of course, is it true? Who knows? But I'm not a killer. I like to hunt. I'm a traditional guy. I like hunting traditional equipment. And, I've been a bowyer for a long time. And I respect animals. And I kill, I try to eat and use the hide and the horns. And that's just so. We have, or my wife has some property in Indiana. It's her parents. It's about 30 acres. And I go up there every year to hunt. Now, I don't hunt here. And I live in Florida, by the way, right now. But she's up there taking care of her dad is sick. And not last year, but the year before, and I still have the picture of this, I got probably eight tree stands on this property. And I'm in this one, I call it the oak tree. And it's not far from the house now, probably 100 yards. And I get out of it one day. I go walking down the road. And I see this huge footprint in it. I mean, like 15, 16 inches long. I'm like, are you kidding? First thing I yell out, are you kidding me? Now, what this thing was, it freaked me out, dude. I put my foot backwards next to it. That shows you my train of thought. I got to get out of here. So I put my foot next to it. I took a picture and I got the hell away from it because it freaked me out.
Yeah.
I still have the picture. So in other words, my toes are facing the heel of this thing, but I put my foot right next to it and shows you how big, I got a 9.5 foot and this thing was huge. So, I never heard of any stories of anything like that there. So I started researching. Well, yeah, there are places known in Salamone and the Sinawa and these areas that got a lot of wood area and near rivers and whatnot are notorious for having these things been seen before. Not a lot of them, but enough of them. And in northern Indiana, there's some I can't remember the name of the forest, but it's a huge acreage, and there's a lot of them supposedly sighted there and heard there. So it's a big wooded area. So whether these things are moving and traveling and doing whatever, they can do whatever they want. In where I'm at in Indiana, it's very rural, wooded areas. In other words, it's all crops, but it's wood patches and ridge lines. And you can go, there's some places that got 300 or 400 acres of woods. But if you want to hide, you can hide. And these camouflage, these things, they look like, to me, all they have to do is stand still. You'd walk right by them. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
But, yeah, there's a lot of forest out there, and not many of these creatures. I mean, there's probably a lot of Bigfoots, spread out all throughout North America, but there's a lot of forest out there too for them to hide in.
Yeah. Now, some of the things I learned over the years, I don't know how true they are, but they make sense to me. That there's different species of these things. One of them looks like a caveman. The other one looks more like a kind of like a ape, almost apish. And the other one looks more like a, baboonish, more canine looking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what they are, I've never seen any of them, but seems to me that the canine ones are more aggressive.
Yeah, isn't that the Gugway or Jugway? The Gugway, I think.
Mhm.
Type 3, I believe. What
Yeah.
they say.
Yeah, I've heard some really scary stories on them things.
Yeah, it's never good. They're always aggressive.
Yeah. Well, they don't like, you know, you got to remember now, and what's going on today is a perfect example of it with this virus crap. These guys have been playing with this stuff for years and years and years and years. So their technology, it wouldn't surprise me if they created some of this stuff. It really wouldn't, especially you like the weird stuff. So I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I want to say that. Like, I've thought about that before, but then I think about like the Native American stories and how far it
Yeah.
all goes back. So it's hard to say.
Yeah. Yep. Because that's well, I mean specifically for the dog man or the werewolf dude. I think that, but then again, stories go back thousands of years about that. Um, I remember we were traveling to we were in Virginia someplace, and we broke down in the mountains. And this
Mm.
guy and helped us. He's like, "Man, I'm glad I found you guys." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "There's werewolves out here," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And he said, "No, I'm serious." And I said, "Oh, well, what makes you think that?" He goes, "I seen one run across the road one time."
Yeah,
So that was I'm like, okay. So he brought us to a break place, and they got my car fixed. But man, I said to my wife, I said, "What do you think about that?" She's like, "You never know what's going to be in these mountains because you can't inhabit a lot of them places. The
yeah,
elevation's too steep. They
hmm
say they run right up the side of a wall."
yeah. I mean, that would be a great place to hide for them because I mean, it's like Missouri, like my area, but it's got mountains and it's really steep, and you couldn't outrun something in that
Man,
area.
Missouri, I got a friend that's moved up there. He's got a little bit of acreage there. I could not believe the woods in Missouri. I'm like, this place is untouched.
Yeah.
So, and I got a friend of mine, John, that lives out there, and I asked him if he ever seen a Sasquatch. And he laughed. He, "Oh no, I ain't seen anything like that."
Yeah, that's the typical thing in Missouri. I mean, it's not normal for somebody to see a Sasquatch or to even talk about it. You
Yeah,
pretty much get laughed at and ridiculed right away.
yeah. Well, again, um, I don't know. I think that they kind of let you see them if they want to be seen.
Mm.
Now, for what reasoning is for that, I don't know, but um, maybe to warn you.
Hmm.
I anything divine, at least,
Yeah.
but it if they don't want to see, if they don't want you to see them, they're gonna hide. But
Yeah. In my opinion, the ones that you guys saw messed up. I mean, because they were being watched on both sides from that one guy in the truck,
yep,
and then from you guys. And you said you guys were armed, correct?
I was armed, but everything was in the truck. But I certainly could have, yeah. Oh,
Unless they got that feeling like, oh, these guys aren't going to shoot us. We're cool to cross the road. Let's go. But I
I
don't know. I don't know if they can sense that feeling from people.
well,
I mean, dogs
but,
can, so I don't know. Maybe
but
they can too.
she freaked out. You could see it.
Oh, what's that? Sorry, I kind of lost you there, I guess.
When the female walked across that road, she got about 2 steps into the road and looked down at us. She was taking her time going across that road, but and following this other one. And when she turned and looked at us, it freaked her out. You could just see it, like, oh crap! And she just, her whole mannerism changed.
Mm-hmm.
She
She knew
reacted.
she messed up.
Yeah, because we had our orange vests on as well.
Yeah, I think they're so used to like never messing up or making like eye contact with humans or even getting that close that when they do, they freak out because they're normally the ones watching us, not the other way around.
And it was funny because the first one I saw, when I think about it, it's funny anyway. He just kind of eased out, didn't come straight across the road. He was easing out, walking away from me sideways, kind of like down on an angle toward this palmetto head. And he didn't even look down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was standing right in the road looking at him. I saw him come right out of the woods right there. So.
Yeah,
But
it's almost like he knew you were there. There's no way he wouldn't have looked
to
crossing
me,
the road.
here,
Deers look both ways sometime. At least older deer, they'll look both ways before crossing the road. Not the
yes,
little ones.
yes. I think they heard my window in my truck. They heard that,
Okay.
and they were getting out of there.
Yeah.
So whether or not why he didn't look, well, I'll tell you, the female looked right at us. So she definitely got us, but he wasn't in a hurry to get in the bushes.
So moments before that happened, what were you guys doing? Like, were you being really quiet?
Jim was taking off his backpack and binoculars and getting his gun unloaded and blah blah blah.
Okay.
So I stood out in the road and looked down at this tunnel. I always did this. I always looked down the road to see, because sometimes you see game in the road.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I was out there it was probably less than a minute. I said, "Damn, Jim, look at this dude wearing no friggin' orange." And Jim kind of come out. It's like, huh? You looked at him, and I didn't say a whole lot about him. And he was just kind of tall and skinny, long arms, and just giving that long gait. And then the other one came out when he hit that wood line, crossed the road and hit that palmetto wood line. The other one came out immediately, and that's when I was like, "What the?"
Yeah. It had like a waddle to it. Just moved really weird.
Well, let's put it this way. Yeah, it acted like it had a big pile of turds in its pants. That's how
Okay.
I can describe that. It
Yeah.
was the legs weren't the legs were walking like when she ran, her legs were kind of stiff-legged and going out to the side as she was running to hold on to her whatever she had in between her
Okay.
legs.
Did either one of them seem like they were gliding at all, like gliding across the road? Because I've heard stories about that. But
No, walking for sure. None of
okay.
that spooky stuff. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
No, this, like I said, man, it reminded me of humans, cavemen, just Neanderthal. They look like people. They're just ugly. I guess, not, I shouldn't say ugly. They're not, they're very unique. Um,
Yeah.
but, and I had this other guy saying, there's still wild people out in the woods, and I'm like, well, maybe I agree with that,
Mm.
but they're not like you and me.
Yeah.
So I know the Indians used to be pretty good about surviving, so, but anyway,
I also wanted to mention, like, I've seen, I don't know if it was pictures or videos of the skunk ape in Florida, and they're always like long and slender and like that auburn color, that reddish color.
yes. And the deer are as well. The
Yeah.
deer, if you see a deer in the summertime, it is red. Very,
Mm-hmm.
why? I don't know, but it is.
Yeah. How red and white spots match green and brown, I don't know, but it does. They blend in very well.
Yeah, deer blend in. Um, I've had them appear in front of me like magic, and just you know,
I've almost stepped on them, little fawns and stuff.
yep, they're very unique. I have a lot of respect for deer. Um,
Yeah. So you've been doing a lot of research into this. I mean,
yes,
into the topic, just looking up videos, and I know you've been looking into it deep because surely you think about it nonstop since it's happened. What do you think about the strange things like the orbs, the UFO connection, the portals? I don't know, all the strange things you hear. Do you think that's a possibility?
oh, well, let's start at the portals.
Hmm.
I have no doubt that there are portals in my mind.
Yeah.
And I think that certain humans know about them, and we've known about them for years. Now, whether or not they were given to us or discovered, but I believe that humans have the ability to go to different places through these things. Now, of course, this is all kept very secret,
Hmm.
and our society is really screwed up. But it's understandable because if this stuff gets into the wrong hands,
Yeah.
maybe it has. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
And a lot of the leading rulers are about making money and
yes,
big on corporations. So when it comes to technology or knowledge, I mean, I don't think they would be willing just to hand it out to anybody,
yeah,
especially when it's their own gain.
knowledge is power, and it's been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years. And
Mm.
ironic, same people doing the same thing, same
Yeah.
blood.
Do you
So
think the portal thing is connected with like Egypt, the Mayan temples, Stonehenge, all that? Like they
yes,
knew about all this?
yes, I
Hmm.
do.
Do you
Yeah.
think like I don't know if you ever seen it, like that dog man looking thing, Anubis from
Yep.
the Egyptian culture. Do you think that's the dog man?
Well, possibly. I mean, there's what I'm. That's kind of what I was talking about. This stuff can go back. Yeah, I've got a few different theories on it,
Mm.
and like I said, some of them I think we've created some of these things, but some of these things, I don't know, man. I just think that our history, we've been lied to completely, absolutely, completely about everything, all
Yeah.
lies. So, and the deeper you go down the rabbit hole, the more you find out. Now, you have to be smart enough to differentiate. People say, "Oh, that's a conspiracy theory." Well, no, I'm a conspiracy analyst. I analyze stuff. I've lived long enough, and I'm not a stupid man. I'm not, a very schooled guy, but I'm schooled. I've schooled myself. I have a lot of good earth smarts,
Mhm.
history and common sense, and that goes a long ways in
Yeah.
life.
Common sense and intuition will tell you easily if you're being lied to.
Yeah, and my father taught me about integrity, about respect, about love, about hate. He certain things that I didn't really connect until I had my own family and yeah. So you can't you things like that you drag with you your whole life.
Mm.
And
Do you think the Bigfoots don't want to have anything to do with humans because of the way we treat each other?
I think that we are a menace to them,
Hmm.
and they know we have technology, and they know we have guns, and they know what cameras are. You see what they do to game cameras.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
know
They
that
don't like them.
they can feel. See, you got to remember about these things, and this is what we can guess. They may be from another dimension to where these guys are. Who knows? It could be shapeshifters or something. I don't know, but I think that they feel electrical fields.
Hmm.
Have you ever heard of the hex suit?
I've heard of it. I can't remember what it is
Well,
off
it's
the
a
top of
company
my head right
that developed this suit. It's basically like a microwave oven. It encapsulates your electrical field, so you don't project this electrical field when you're hunting. And I mean, their sales pitch was they showed these guys wearing this thing, and the elks would come right up to them. I'm like right next to them.
now. Huh.
Really, they get a whiff of them and like, whoa. And so possibly, if I was going to hunt one of these things, or let's say if I was going to study one of these things, I hate the word hunt for this. If I was going to study one, I would wear one of these suits because I think they can see your field. I really do. Because you ever notice a deer comes in and it's downwind, upwind of you, but it stops and it's got a sense of
Oh
something's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
There it is right there. Now, have you ever been walking in the woods and got a weird feeling, like a deja vu or just something hit you, a wave?
Mm-hmm.
I like to call it run.
Yeah. Right.
So that's these are the instincts that humans, I think, have lost, or that whatever we are made from, possibly genetically, uh, it's coming out a little bit or developing. It could be going both ways. I think we're losing it because of us being urbanized and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you got to listen to your gut. Your gut is your second brain, your heart. These things, these feelings, the emotions. I think it's a sensory system.
Oh yeah. Our body was designed in a certain way and meant to fire a certain way for certain reasons.
Yeah. So, when my dad used to tell me when I was a kid, he goes, think twice about everything you're doing. Think twice about everything you're saying. He goes, half the time you're not going to do that or you're not going to say that. And it made a lot of sense. Now, to a kid, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Probably what he was talking about is me being mouthy to my mother or whatever. And, because there's consequences to it. But I've learned a lot in life that sometimes, you know, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything. Just because somebody is a certain way, don't say anything. They may be having a bad day. Because I'll tell you what, we all have bad days sometimes where
Mm-hmm.
everything sucks. And,
Yeah.
you have to have, you got to have recoup, whether it's your higher power, spiritual, whatever. You got to have faith. And good.
Right.
One thing I can tell you for sure that I know, there is good and there is evil.
Mm-hmm.
Evil is real. And, I tell a lot of my friends are agnostic or atheists, and it's good to have the Lord on your side. And I'm not very religious, but I am spiritual, and I just I try to go through my life and I treat people good. I run a good business. I take care of every problem I have. And if I'm bad, I apologize for it. Sincere.
Right.
And that's all you can do. My dad taught me that too. He said, if you go through life and you do the best job you can do to where when you get up and yeah, I could improve on that or whatever. I'm a self motivator and a self manager. I think I grew up with some issues because of my vaccinations, and I'm not even going to get into that. But I don't, you know, I struggle sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
My comprehension is it's always had a problem. I got blocks, concentration, whatever. But I remember when this started, and it was like in the first or second grade after my vaccinations. And as I researched it, there's a lot of truth to that because of what was in them. So anyway, you do what you can do. We're not perfect, and I excel in some things and don't do well in other things.
Yeah, just try to do the best you can.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention I'm actually gonna be uploading a video today in Florida, or about the Florida area.
Cool.
So yeah, keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
I think you'll be interested in it. Maybe you'll know the area.
Yeah. I may. This area here, this is a cool area. Osceola County, Three Lakes Management Area.
Yeah.
It'd be a good place for a study. But you can't go in the woods and go make all noises and knocks, and that's, to me, stupid. Now, if you have a clan maybe, and you catch them communicating, you can mock them certainly. But to go into woods blindly, and start doing weird stuff, I mean, that's just stupid.
Yeah, it's gonna work like 1 out of 100 times.
Exactly. And all it does is it just gives your spot away.
Yeah.
So, silence is golden. When I hunt, I don't make a whole lot of noise. Now, when I learned how to call deer with my vocals, and very subtle. Most critters in the wild aren't loud. They don't make loud noises. Now, occasionally, like when they fight and doing weird things, but there's a lot of subtle sounds. And the cool thing about hunting in a tree stand with a bow is, especially if you're an all-day sitter, is you come in tune with the earth, and it takes probably about 3 or 4 days to acclimate to the woods, to the sound, to the resonance of everything. And I have tinnitus in my ears too, so it's really hard. I have ringing in my ears constantly. But to hear everything going on around, just close your eyes and listen, and you can hear so many things.
Oh
And
yeah.
and it's amazing. It really is.
Yeah, when you go walking through the woods, it's like, oh, there's nothing here. There's nothing in here, even if you stop for a little bit and listen. But when you sit down and take your time and, like you said, close your eyes and you start paying attention to all the little noises around you, all of a sudden they start getting louder and you start hearing little sticks break and you start hearing things moving around you. You may not be able to see them, but the woods does get more active if you just sit
Yeah.
and listen.
And how many times you've been sitting? I don't know if you're a hunter or not, but how many times have you been sitting, say, in a tree stand, and then you hear like, yeah, and then that's all you hear.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, what was that? And you're like, damn, what was that? 5 minutes later, deer. Huh, maybe it was that. Well, I've actually seen deer do that. I've seen deer growl. I've seen deer. They make all kinds of sounds. I never heard them whistle, but I heard they do. But to get one of these, like, has a lot to do with, you got to be able to read animals. If they're on alert, you're not going to really, it's very hard to trick them, especially if there's one or two of them. But, a big buck during the rut, he's kind of dumb because he's interested in breeding. So you can get him to do weird stuff. But I'll tell you what, if they have any inclination that it's something dangerous, they go right behind you and wind you. I've seen them do it. And there's nothing you can, I've been busted so many times, rattling and grunt calling. They go right behind the tree, go downwind and bust me, and then they blow and run off. And, I pass on 95, 98% of everything I ever see, I pass on. So
Yeah, same here. Okay.
I don't. Like I said, I hunt rural areas. I don't like going. I don't feel safe going into big forests. I see people go on these hiking camping things where they backpack into the woods and they'll go like miles and miles and miles and miles and miles.
Mm-hmm.
No firearm. To me, that's insanity. And if you do the research on how many people disappear in our national forests every year, it's shocking. So,
Yeah, it is.
not me. I'm at least going to have something with me.
Yeah.
And it's going to do anything for you. You know, it really isn't.
So do you still hunt today?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
So you still go out to the Three Lake area and hunt?
there. I would. I mean, if you ever wanted to go out there, I'd go out there with you. But
Okay.
it'd be,
Do you want to make a documentary one day, maybe?
yeah. I mean, I'm into all that stuff. I'm,
Okay. Well, I want to go to Florida and I want to check out the skunk ape. I think you got a really cool story. So if I ever did get the funds to go out there, I don't know, maybe I can start something with my channel and save up. But if I ever do, I want to go out there and check it out because you
yeah.
got a really neat story. And
Well,
I,
it's not a scary story. Now, I've heard some stories that were absolutely terrifying.
yeah,
I mean, absolutely terrifying.
right.
So, like that, well, I mean, it just depends on the story. I mean, there's just so many of them. But some of the ones that you did, I was pretty amazed with. That one guy in Missouri, I think it was Missouri,
Mhm.
uh, it had them on at his property, and it freaked him out for years. And then he finally came to ease with it.
Yeah,
But never really seen him, but knew, you know.
right. Yeah, and that does seem to be the key for people is learning how to live with them.
Yep.
I
Yep.
think I think the Sasquatches do a better job than what we would because they avoid us. They rarely get seen, and when they do get mad, maybe they have a good reason. I know people don't want to hear that, but we don't know if someone 3 miles down the road shot at one and killed them, and then
Yeah.
somebody is taking the blame for it at a farm. Who
Yeah.
knows? And they don't
Well,
even know that one got shot. So,
I think these things live a long time,
hmm
maybe over 100, over 100 years, maybe longer.
yeah,
So,
yeah, it
because
could be.
rural and diet, they're not
That
eating.
could be that could be a good reason why we don't find a body is they live a very long time. They're small in numbers, and there's just so much forest out there.
Dude, they have found many bodies.
I think so too, because a lot of the skulls they find
Yeah.
look like Bigfoot skulls, and scientists they don't really know. They're just saying, "Oh, this was from 100,000 years ago, from this period," but they don't really know. They're just
Yeah.
guessing.
Yeah. I agree. But anyway, the that place is still out there, and it's open to the public. You have to have a management stamp, I think, during hunting season to get on it. If not, it's public property. You can go out there and just mess around as long as you're not, hunting or taking game or anything. But
Right.
hey,
I'm a non-resident, so it would probably be a little more expensive for me. A couple hundred
uh,
bucks for a tag or something.
if you go out, we can go out during hunting season. You'd be.
Yeah.
Now I have seen tree huggers going out there and driving down the road beeping in a
Mm.
caravan, beep 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 beep, because I call them tree huggers, but they're just anti-hunters,
Oh, okay.
and they do go out there occasionally. But you need a 4-wheel drive to get out into some of these places because it's just dirt roads full of muck holes and but if you know what you're looking for, the signs, these things leave signs, especially if there's a clan of them around. They're going to leave signs. If you know what to look for, and you know what to look for,
Mm-hmm.
you can recognize that. Now, I'm not saying that all of them do, though, because there may be some of them that are so secretive or move around so much. I firmly believe that these things migrate back and forth.
Yeah.
I think they move.
What if it's both? What if some migrate and some stay in certain areas?
I would say that that's probably, yeah, that's probably is what they do.
Yeah, and that's why we can't figure it out because there's no pattern, but maybe they just do both. Some eat, veggies and some want meat only.
Yeah. Well, I think these things are super smart. They hear better than us. They think better than us. They're intelligent.
Hmm.
They're Neanderthal or whatever you want to call them, but still, they're surviving in the wild. And I don't think they like us much. Look, I say this to people: if somebody was coming and cutting all your trees down and killing all your game and effing up your land, what do you think you would do? Humans
Right.
off about it. I've heard of these things going and tipping over timber trucks. They go up in the mountains of Washington and start clear cutting, and these things would grab trees and smash vehicles, and timber guys would come in the next day and all their equipment's wrecked.
Yeah.
And this has been going on for 100 years.
Yeah.
There's some old stories of these loggers getting in wars with these things, and
Hmm.
they several of them, and a few of the loggers disappeared. We're never seen from again.
Yeah.
So
I talked about in one of my last podcast episodes about how they could possibly hear through their feet, and
yep,
certain prehistoric animals could do that. But it got me thinking about loggers and how they chainsaw. When the chainsaw hits the tree, the ground vibrates,
yep,
and that probably really makes them mad. And also the trees being cleared
yeah. You
makes them
figure
really mad.
there's a frequency in the earth, right?
Hmm.
And animals, this is why deer, you ever seen a deer when it's on warning, it'll stomp its foot. And I don't
Yeah.
care if deer is 50 feet away from another deer. They all feel that.
Yeah, you can hear that stomp. It's a loud stomp. It almost vibrates the ground. I'm sure it does.
There's no doubt in my mind that there's something to the vibrations of all that.
Mm.
But
And they can hear certain frequencies we can't, like
right,
bats.
right. Yep. I
So if
agree.
someone's slapping a big bucket against a mountain all day long, I'm sure it's going to make them really mad.
Yeah. Well, you figure they're defending they've been pushed. Um,
Yeah, they got nowhere to go now.
and some of
So,
them are stuck in certain areas. Like there's a lot of them in Arkansas too, I heard.
oh yeah, for sure. That's
And
part of like my region. It's
yeah,
not. I mean, it's a different state, but it's still the Ozarks.
yeah, yeah. And some pretty mean stories there too of guys.
Yeah.
I listened to this story of this guy. His dad killed the leader. These guys, and I think these were, I'm not sure what he said they were, dogmen or Sasquatch or whatever, but he said his dad killed the oldest one, and the kid, but there was a young one with it. Well, 30 years later or whatever, the son grew up, father, uh, the kid grew, the baby Bigfoot grew up as an adult as well.
Can you
And
repeat that again? I think I lost you there for a second.
yeah, the kid grew up and the baby Bigfoot grew up, and he recognized him like 20, 30 years later. And they recognized each other.
Oh, okay.
Remember you when you were little. Well, anyway, one of these clan went in there and killed his dad, beat the hell out of him because he had killed, uh, I think he killed more than one of them. He was constantly shooting at him. So they went in his house one night and just beat him to death. I mean, they said this guy was beat. Every bone in his body was broke.
So this guy shot at a Sasquatch, and the clan came back, and
Yeah.
okay,
He killed the leader. He killed the alpha, and apparently there was other ones, uncles and cousins or whatever. And yeah, they found this guy out in the woods, all broke up, just completely mangled.
yeah,
And he was in his bed. They come and got him.
mm.
Yeah. So, some people just they're dumb. You can't. They go to school their whole life, but when they wake up in the morning, they're still dumb. You can't get rid of it. And my father-in-law used to tell me that. He goes, you can't wash dumb off.
Yeah.
Now, what he means by that, I don't know. I don't mean literally dumb, but some people have I don't know. It's like, what are you thinking, dude?
There's just something turned off in their brain.
Yeah.
And to them, we seem like morons, but in reality, it's the other way around.
Well,
Sometimes, not always.
part of what's going on today. So, I don't
Yeah.
know. I got common sense.
Yeah, and I think that'll get you a long ways in life, just having common sense.
Yeah. So, anyway, if you want to get together one day, just keep in touch with me, and I'm sure you're going to edit all my goofy stuff out of this. But
No, you did great. Yeah, I think it'd be great to get together. I got some bow questions for you if you're ever willing to answer any.
dude, that's what I do.
Okay.
Every I build.
I won't ask here, but
I build. You can ask me anything you want. I build very high end trad bows.
okay. I'm wanting to get into the traditional bows. I just wasn't sure what to go with.
One of the most premier bow makers in the world. And that's how I sell myself. And you look at my stuff and you'll say, yeah, I reckon you are. And people told me this is what you are. You need to recognize this. And you need to sell it. Because don't put yourself with all the other guys.
Okay.
And I don't. And I thank God that I have the opportunity to do what I do. I mean, I planned this for 20 years. But I've been given a set of skills, and I've polished them, and I have drive, and I have a clientele that respects what I do.
Okay, that's awesome. I have a hunting channel. Maybe I can buy some of your equipment and premiere it in there.
Yeah, man. If you
cool.
Do it, and if you want to look on my Instagram, just look under Bushman.
Okay. Yeah, mine's outdoor_premonition. So I'll look you up and add you. Real quick, I wanted to ask you. This is like a weird one I just thought of, and you had me thinking about it earlier when you were talking about the guy getting beat to death.
Yeah.
You know how people talk about there's no body, you never find a body, or what would they do with the body? And people say they bury their dead, but I know this sounds out there, and people are probably going to get mad at me. But what if, like, when one dies, what if they eat that one? I know that sounds crazy, but what if they do? They devour it. And I say that because, like, chimps, like how chimps seem like they're sweet and they're cool. They just swing from trees and eat fruit all day. But the reality is they're pretty evil, and there's wars going on, and there's hierarchy, and they'll rip each other apart and eat each other. I mean, if they decide to turn on one, that's why I say that.
You can answer that in 3 words. They're not civilized. So
yeah.
Basically, their rule of law is not the same as our rule of law. We don't have to do that. That's just what now some of us do, and don't think that they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Take that to the bank. There are people that still do that for whatever reasons being it is. And I don't want to get that either. But these guys they're surviving, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that could be a possibility.
Yeah. Whatever they're doing, they're aware of how they're doing it, and that's how it's working. They're not just randomly not being discovered. Like you said, they're aware of guns and technology.
They hide their bodies. There's
Yeah.
no is
Yeah.
I listened to a guy, and this guy was getting very emotional. I mean, you could tell he was telling the truth. He shot one and killed it. It was a young one. And when he walked up to it, he had shot it right in the throat, right under the chin. And it was bleeding out and it was dying. And he looked at it and he goes, "Oh my God, what have I done?"
Mm-hmm.
Because I've just killed a person.
Yeah.
And then he realized he's freaking out. So he buried it with branches. And finally, he got the nerve to go up. I think it was in the winter. Went up and it was gone.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there was two other ones with it when he shot this one. So he shot one of the juveniles.
Mm-hmm.
And they took it. So what they did with it, I don't know. It really don't matter. The point is that I think they live a long time. I think that these things may live hundreds of years old. They
Yeah.
age. There's no doubt about that.
Okay. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for being on the show and taking the call and taking your time to do this.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And get on my Instagram and my Facebook. Be under Bushman, Bushmen, not MAN.
Okay.
Bows, traditional bows, or look under Stephen Jewett Facebook and reach out to me, and I'll get you hooked up.
All right, man. Sounds good. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So
All right.
good
Yep.
luck, and if you ever want to get together, let me know, and I'll take you out to this place and see if you can. I'll show you exactly where it was. In fact, we can go out to the swamp if you want. That'd be
Okay.
real cool.
Yeah.
You get freaked out, man.
Yeah. I am down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's I'll probably be freaked out too. I'll probably have to carry my damn Colt 45 with damn magnet heads on it or something. I just
Yeah.
I don't want to shoot one, but I'm not going to let one freaking attack me.
Right.
There's a lot of things out there. It's not just that. There's big pigs. There's panthers. There's a freaking deer will attack you sometimes. So you just big water moccasins.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
the
All right.
fear of the unknown.
We'll set it up one day, hopefully.
Yeah, and let me know when you're gonna this, and I'll give it a listen on YouTube.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to the whole thing anyway because I like to listen to how crappy I sound.
Oh, you're fine. You did great.
Yeah, well, it's I try to work on things speaking wise because I have a tendency to say a lot, and that drives me nuts when I listen to somebody doing that,
Right.
and it does other people. So when
Okay.
you don't have anything to say, it's best just to be quiet
Right.
instead of saying So
Yeah.
anyway, all right, bro.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it, Steve, and I hope you have a good day. And I'll let you know when this video's done.
Sounds good.
All right, man. You take care, and I'll hit you up on Instagram.
All right, man.
All right.
See you, bro.
See ya.
Bye now.
I apologize for the rough ending, but that is the way it goes sometimes, unfortunately. My theory on this encounter is the swamp apes were fleeing because they were aware of hunters in the area. I believe since Steve was alert and looking for game, he was able to catch a quick glimpse of these creatures. I also think the Sasquatch thought they could cross the road without being detected. It is a rare thing to see, but it does happen from time to time. This goes to show you never know what is around you when in the deep forest. So if you are out in the deep woods, make sure to have someone with you because you never know what you will encounter. I appreciate everyone for listening in tonight. Hit the thumbs up button if you like this video, and subscribe to help support the channel. Until next time, take care everyone.